know that most of what you've seen, read, or heard about Billy the Kid is untrue? My name is Gail Cooper. I'm a medical doctor and forensic psychiatrist. My specialty is murder case consultation for the defense. For 20 years, I've used my expertise to uncover the real Billy the Kid. Researching over 40,000 pages of archival documents and books, I've written the revisionist history. It's shocking, it's liberating, and I've written books demolishing the hoaxes, hijacking the history. My talks will share with you what I've found. Cover-ups, misinformation, and fakery, to use Old West lingo, will bite the dust. This talk presents my revisionist history of Billy Bonney's Santa Fe jail letters to Governor Lew Wallace. The information is from my book, The Lost Pardon of Billy the Kid, an analysis factoring in the Santa Fe Ring, Governor Lew Wallace's dilemma, and a territory in rebellion. On December 22, 1880, Deputy U.S. Marshal and Sheriff-elect Pat Garrett, with backup of the Santa Fe Ring, the Secret Service, and Texan posse men, captured Billy Bonney by an ambush at a Stinking Springs line cabin about 16 miles from Fort Sumner. It's doubtful that Garrett, who'd known Billy since early 1878, believed he was an outlaw king, or that a huge gang of counterfeiter rustlers were in the territory. But he did know his mission was to kill Billy. He missed him in a Fort Sumner ambush that December 19th, killing Tom O'Folliard instead. At Stinking Springs, mistaking Charlie Bowdry for Billy, he shot him dead. Garrett then settled on Billy's capture and an inevitable hanging trial. Captured with Billy were Billy Wilson, Tom Pickett, and Dirty Dave Rudabaugh. Garrett was also backed by Governor Lew Wallace, who'd betrayed his pardon bargain with Billy. As Secret Service operative Azariah Wild wrote in his December 23, 1880 report to his chief, I called on Governor Wallace in Santa Fe. He had once said, "Tell Mr. Garrett to follow these men any place in the territory and tell him I say so." Garrett first transported his captives to Fort Sumner, then Las Vegas for a night in the jail, where Tom Pickett was released for lack of a warrant. Then Garrett took the others by train to the Santa Fe jail. By then, Billy was the object of a media circus as an outlaw the Ring named Billy the Kid. This negative press ultimately influenced his Messiah trials jury. On December 27th, the ring-eyed Las Vegas Daily Gazette published editor Lucius "Lute" Wilcox's article about the Stinking Springs capture and prisoner transport to Las Vegas. It was titled, "The Kid, Interview with Billy Bonney, the best-known man in New Mexico." It showed that Billy's wit was unabated. About the gathered crowd and his defamatory press, Billy said, "Well, perhaps some of them will think me half man now. Everyone seems to think I was some sort of animal." On December 27th, ring-eyed Russell A. Kistler reported the capture in his Las Vegas Daily Optic as a big haul, Billy the Kid, Dave Rudabaugh, Billy Wilson, and Tom Pickett in the clutches of the law, notorious gang of outlaws broken up, and the county breathes easier. Pure outlaw myth, it stated. Our readers are familiar with the depredations committed in the lower country by a gang of daring desperados under the leadership of Billy the Kid. They have roamed over the country at will, placing no value upon human life and appropriating the property of ranchmen and travelers without stint. Posses of men have been in hot pursuit of them for weeks. However, the Wright boys started out well-mounted and heavily armed and were successful in bagging their game. Yesterday afternoon, the town of Las Vegas was thrown into a fever of excitement by the announcement that the kid and other members of his gang of outlaws had been captured. The rumor was soon verified by the appearance in town of a squad of men led by Pat Garrett, deputy sheriff of Lincoln County, having in custody the kid, Dave Rudabaugh, Billy Wilson, and Tom Pickett. They were taken at once to the jail. The party of men who risked their lives in the attempt to rid the country of this bloodthirsty gang of robbers and murderers are deserving of unbounded praise and should be rewarded handsomely. They will undoubtedly obtain the reward of $500 offered by the Governor Wallace for the capture of the kid to bring to justice one of the most desperate gangs of outlaws that ever terrorized the Southwest. Kid is about 24 years of age. When interviewed between the bars at the Las Vegas jail this morning, he was in a talkative mood, but said that anything he might say would not be believed by the people. He laughed heartily when informed that the papers of the territory had built him up a reputation second only to that of Apache Chief Victorio. Kid claims never to have had a large number of men with him, and that the few who were with him when captured were employed on a ranch. This is his statement, and is taken for what it is worth. On December 28th, Billy was again interviewed for the Las Vegas Gazette when inside the train departing to the Santa Fe jail. His banter reflected self-control when one realizes that, during his interview, his train was blocked by a mob on the tracks with unclear intent either to lynch or to rescue him. He presented his Stinking Springs capture with a dime novel escape fantasy about jumping his famous bay mare out of the line cabin's doorway, obstructed by a dead horse shot by Garrett. With the mob dispersed and the train finally departing, Billy avoided morbidity by jokingly inviting the reporter to visit him in Santa Fe. Once in the Santa Fe jail, Billy immediately wrote to Lew Wallace. He was calling the bluff on his pardon. He would write 4 letters in his almost 3-month imprisonment, prolonged by the rings awaiting completion of tracks for railroad transport to prevent his partisan rescue. Billy's letters were demands. They likely contributed to guilty Lew Wallace's obsessive publishing of subsequent lying articles about the pardon bargain being betrayed by Billy. Important to note is that handwriting in Billy's jail letters differs from his pardon bargain letters because he lacked a desk to enable proper Spencerian slant, as discussed in Talk 4 linked below. But he retained his alphabet, grammatical quirks, misspelling of answer as ANNSER, and his uniquely modified signatures. Wallace answered none of Billy's jail letters, but he took them with the rest of his Billy the Kid communications when he left New Mexico Territory and carefully preserved them. On January 1st, 1881, 4 days after arriving, Billy wrote, giving the location as Santa Fe. On screen is Billy's Santa Fe jail letter of January 1st, 1881, to quote Governor Lew Wallace. It stated, "Dear Sir, I would like to see you for a few moments, if you can spare the time. Yours respect, W.H. Bonney." It should be noted that on February 28th, Billy and his cellmates almost succeeded in tunneling out of their cell. He was then put in solitary confinement for the rest of his jail stay. Billy's next letter, dated March 2nd, 1881, angered Wallace. Billy implied he had letters from him confirming the pardon bargain. Wallace would later call it blackmail in his obsessive articles, but that threat must have alarmed that hypocrite, counting the days till he could silence Billy's accusations by hanging. On screen is Billy's Santa Fe jail letter of March 2nd, 1881. Billy gives his location as the Santa Fe Jail, New Mex. Addressed to Governor Lew Wallace, Billy wrote, "Dear Sir, I wish you would come down to the jail to see me. It will be to your interest to come and see me. I have some letters which date back 2 years, and there are parties who are very anxious to get them, but I shall not dispose of them until I see you, that is, if you will come immediately." It was signed, "Yours respect, William H. Bonney." 2 days later, on March 4th, 1881, Billy wrote his third jail letter, bitterly confirming the pardon's betrayal. He wrote, "I have done everything that I promised you I would, and you have done nothing that you promised me." He also threatened partisan rescue, giving a glimpse of his power as a rebel leader. He wrote, "I guess they mean to send me up without giving me any show, but they will have a nice time doing it. I am not entirely without friends." On screen is Billy's Santa Fe jail letter of March 4th, 1881. He gives his location as Santa Fe, in jail. Again, it is to Governor Lew Wallace as "Dear Sir." As at his March 13th, 1879 start of pardon letters to Wallace, Billy addresses him as an equal. Now he rebukes him. Billy stated, "I wrote you a little note the day before yesterday, but have received no answer. I expect you have forgotten what you promised me this month 2 years ago, but I have not, and I think you had ought to have come and seen me as I requested you to. I have done everything that I promised you I would, and you have done nothing that you promised me. I think when you think the matter over, you will come down and see me, and I can then explain everything to you. Judge Leonard passed through here on his way east in January and promised to come and see me on his way back, but he did not fulfill his promise. It looks to me like I am getting left in the cold. I am not treated right by U.S. Marshal John Sherman. He lets every stranger that comes to see me through curiosity in to see me, but will not let a single one of my friends in, not even an attorney. I guess they mean to send me up without giving me any show, but they will have a nice time doing it. I am not entirely without friends. I shall expect to see you sometime today. Patiently waiting, I am very truly yours. Respect, William H. Bonney." On March 27, 1881, Billy wrote to Wallace for the last time, emphasizing the pardon promise that his life now depended on, since he was about to be transported to his hanging trials. He may have clung to slim hope that Lew Wallace would issue the pardon at its technically proper time, after his sentencing in his Mesilla trials to come. On screen is Billy's Santa Fe jail letter of March 27, 1881. He gives his location as Santa Fe, New Mexico. Again, it is to Governor Lew Wallace as "Dear Sir." Billy wrote, "For the last time," underlined, "I ask, will you keep your promise? I start below tomorrow. Send answer by bearer." He signed, "Yours respect, W. Bonney. A later talk will analyze Billy Bonney's Messiah hanging trials.